Nigga, and it's like that. Welcome back. We finna get into this OG Crip named Lil Fee from the Rollin 60s. Fuck is you talking about? I really want to get into the Rollin 60s and the Crips and shit like that because of what's going on with the Nipsey situation. I don't think a lot of people know with this gang shit as far as they go with this shit, how deep and entwined all this shit go, how crazy this shit really get for these niggas. But we finna get into it now.
The case are as follows. In the 1980s, Los Angeles was a war zone. The gang wars and the drug wars had become intertwined and turned the city into a bloodbath. The drug money funded the arms race, so gang members went from handguns to fully automatic AK-47s, seemingly overnight. The nightly news and morning paper was filled with stories of robberies, assaults, and murders. Gangs had the city under siege, and one of the most notorious gangs were the West Side Rollin 60s neighborhood Crips. Among the ranks of the Rollin 60s was a young man named Taekwon Cox, also known as Lil Fee. During his teenage years, Lil Fee developed a reputation for violence. He was no stranger to gunplay and would regularly have shootouts with rival gangs, such as the A-Tray Gangster Crips. Monster Cody, who was a reputable member of the A-Tray Gangster Crips, spoke about having numerous run-ins with Lil Fee in his book titled Monster, the autobiography of an LA gang member. In one incident on August 27, 1984, Monster Cody and another A-Tray member named Lil Harv went to the intersection of Florence Avenue and Main Street to watch some street races. After getting some food from the Golden Ox restaurant, they walked across the street to Winchell's Donuts and talked to Twin and Baby Gangster from Santana Block. They then returned to their vehicle and started eating. Shortly afterwards, Lil Harv noticed Lil Fee and a group of Rollin 60s walking nearby. Lil Harv wanted to leave, but Monster got out of the car, yelled gangster, and opened fire on the group. Monster said initially Lil Fee was the only one shooting back, but then the other Rollin 60s also opened fire, and Monster was forced to retreat. Although Lil Fee was well known on the streets of Los Angeles, he would gain national attention after being charged with the unthinkable. On Friday,
it's so funny to me how niggas being like, some of these niggas, as far as like, only a few niggas actually gonna shoot back in them situations, and only a few niggas is actually gonna stand their ground. If you really want to get technical and if you really want to be honest with niggas, only a few is really like that for real. They just be around niggas that be really like that, and the thing about them being really like that is that's dangerous because they taking lives out here like that, you feel me? And the issue with that is goofy ass shit like that where he just hop out the car and start busting while they out and about doing what they doing. You don't know who they could have possibly hit on accident or on some other shit or anything. But this back in the day, you know, this is when they actually used to get up on your ass and could get up on your ass. Nowadays it's a little different.
August 31st, 1984, at around 6 a.m., Darren Williams and Horace Burns arrived at the home of a woman named Ida Moore. A woman named Lisa Brown was at the home as well. Williams used Moore's phone and then asked to borrow her van. Williams sent Burns to pick up Lil Fee. Shortly afterwards, the group piled into Moore's van. Moore drove, Brown sat in the passenger seat, and Williams, Burns, and Lil Fee sat in the back. Williams directed Moore to 59th Street and began looking for an address that he wrote on a piece of paper. When Williams located the home, he told Moore to park down the street and leave the engine running. Brown heard one of the men say they were going to kill everybody in the house. Williams told Moore, Brown, and Burns to stay in the van and keep lookout while he and Lil Fee exited the van and walked towards the home. Moore noticed Williams had a gun in his waistband, and she saw Lil Fee carrying something wrapped in a jacket. After the two men entered the home, Moore and Brown said they heard the sound of gunfire. A couple of minutes later, Williams ran back to the van holding a gun. About a minute later, Lil Fee ran to the van and said, "I just blew that bitch head off, so drive." Moore then sped away. Williams had...
Damn, that nigga said I just blew that bitch head off, now drive. God damn, that was a cold ass line to even just spit out your mouth after some shit like that. God. And the whole time, from what I know about this shit, kinda, these niggas was in the wrong house.
Moore drive to the intersection of Vermont Avenue and Gage Street. Williams told Moore and Brown not to say anything about what just happened. The three men then exited the van and went into a building called the Vermont Club. Moore and Brown returned to Moore's house. Shortly afterwards, detectives arrived at the scene of the shooting and began their investigation. When they entered the home, they discovered a house of horror. A 57-year-old woman named Ebra Alexander was sitting at her kitchen table drinking a cup of coffee when she was shot multiple times in the head. Ebra's 23-year-old daughter Dietria was lying in bed when she was shot 3 times in her head and neck. 10-year-old Damani and 8-year-old Damon were also laying in bed when they were shot and killed. Ebra's 14-year-old son Neil awoke when he heard a scream and the sound of a gunshot. He saw one of the gunmen standing over Dietria's bed and jumped on his back, and the two began fighting over the gun. The gunman fell on the trunk near the door, but quickly regained control of the gun. The gunman then hit Neil in the face, and Neil fled out the back door to call for help. Ebera's grandson Ivan was also in the home at the time of the shooting and hid in the closet when he heard the sound of gunshots. Investigators began to sweep the neighborhood in search of potential witnesses. Neighbors that witnessed Williams and Lil Fee running from the home gave investigators their descriptions, as well as a description of the van.
That's fucked up. He killed a bunch of innocent people, real talk. He ain't kill no men. He ain't kill nobody like where it was an actual fight towards. He killed a bunch of women and like damn near killed all the kids. That shit's sad as fuck. But this is what going on in our community. This is what we do to ourselves. Didn't want to point the finger at everybody else. That was somebody's grandma, grandkids, sisters, all that. Son, he just traumatized that boy. That's fucked up.
Investigators discovered the victims were the family of an NFL player named Kermit Alexander. Ebera was Kermit's mother, Dietria was Kermit's sister, and Damani and Damon were Kermit's nephews. A short while later, Williams called Moore's house and asked Brown to drive his car to the Vermont club. While on the way, Brown picked up Lil Fee from a nearby gas station. After arriving at the Vermont club, Brown witnessed someone hand Lil Fee the same rifle that she saw him carrying earlier that morning. Lil Fee put the rifle in the trunk of the car. Brown then drove Lil Fee to 10th Avenue and watched him take the rifle out of the trunk and take it into an apartment building. A few minutes later, he returned to the car without the rifle. Around 10 a.m. that same morning, Moore and Brown met with Williams at the home of a mutual friend. The women witnessed Williams remove new clothes from a shopping bag. Williams gave Moore $50 and asked her to buy him some personal items. He gave her another $5 for gas, and he gave Brown $20. That afternoon, Lil Fee bought a 1975 Cadillac for $3,000, paying for it in $20 and $100 bills. The next day, Williams made a $1,500 cash down payment on the car for his wife. During this time, a man named James Kennedy was the subject of our narcotics investigation. Nearly a month after the murders, on September 27th, police recovered a .30 caliber rifle from Kennedy's apartment. Kennedy decided to cooperate with law enforcement and went on to tell them what he knew about the murders. Kennedy could not recall an...
First of all, if they gave it to you to get rid of, why the fuck would you keep it? Second of all, how you gonna keep it and then snitch on niggas? You supposed to get rid of it. That was your job after the murder. Why would you keep the weapon? That was your job. You had one fucking job. One job, nigga. Dumbass shit, man. Big dumbass nigga fucking everything up for everybody. Not even gonna come in niggas like that, cause shit, thank God he did fuck up. But that was some dumbass shit. We giving you the murder weapon to get rid of. You keep it. Then when the police come, now you finna snitch on us. Well, you kinda got to, cause shit, you wasn't a part of the murders, but still, you got an alibi, nigga.
Date, but he told investigators that Lil Fee arrived at his apartment one morning with the rifle wrapped in a jacket. He went on to say that Lil Fee told him to destroy the rifle.
Motherfuckers, bro. I hate these commercials, bro. YouTube commercials get on my motherfucking nerve.
The rifle and to wash the jacket because it had gunshot residue on it. Kennedy also went on to say that he did see a young woman sitting in a car in front of his building waiting for Lil Fee. Kennedy recalled giving the jacket to a young woman sit with the rifle wrapped in a jacket. He went on to say that Lil Fee told him to destroy the rifle and to wash the jacket because it had gunshot residue on it. Kennedy also went on to say that he did see a young woman sitting in a car in front of his building waiting for Lil Fee. Kennedy recalled giving the jacket to a sister and telling her to wash it, but he decided not to destroy the rifle and hid it in a bush near his apartment. Investigators compared bullet fragments from the rifle to bullet fragments recovered from the scene of the murders. Many of the fragments matched, although some fragments were too damaged to call.
Why would you keep it in front of your fucking house in front of some bushes, you dumb fuck? This the dumbest shit I ever heard in my life, bro. Stupidest, dumbest shit I've ever... These are the dumbest fucking... Bro.
Shortly afterwards, Lil Fee was arrested. While in jail, Lil Fee called a woman named Cassandra. He asked her if the police found the gun that he gave Kennedy. She said she didn't know. During this time, investigators had already spoken to multiple informants and witnesses. They also arrested Moore, Brown, Burns, and Williams. Investigators discovered that the gunmen were hired to kill a woman inside of the home, but there was a problem. They went into the wrong house. The address was read wrong, and the actual home they were looking for was a few doors down. There was a story circulating that the botched hit was ordered due to a drug debt, but that proved to be false. The official story is that a woman was shot inside of the Vermont club, so the business owner paid the gunman to kill the woman in order to prevent a $2 million lawsuit. The defendants refused to testify against the owner of the Vermont club, so investigators couldn't pursue murder for hire charges due to lack of evidence. During the trial, prosecutors painted Lil Fee as a stone cold killer and a gang member with little regard.
Okay, as far as that go, he killed like somebody, mama and grandma, pretty much. He killed some grandkids and he killed like a little sister, basically. But what I'm trying to say with this one is this: the nigga, as far as these niggas go, that's funny that that must mean that nigga must have been pretty powerful. You feel me? That nigga must have been gang tagged to them. If they didn't snitch on him, if they held it down like that. He couldn't have been no nigga that wasn't a part of what they was doing and wasn't involved in that shit with them. They had to be in the trenches with that nigga. No possible way in here they wasn't.
Human life. The prosecution presented a stack of evidence against Lil Fee, including testimony and written statements from Moore, Brown, Kennedy, and others. Witnesses that saw Lil Fee running from the Alexander residence after the shooting. Ballistics testing, which found that the bullet fragments found at the scene of the murders came from the same .30 caliber rifle that Lil Fee gave Kennedy. Other evidence included a lifted palm print from a trunk located in a room where the younger victims had been sleeping. Two experts concluded that only Lil Fee could have made that print. Ebra's son, Kermit Alexander, and two of her daughters, Geraldine Alexander, who was Damani's mother, and Daphne Bonner, who was Damon's mother, testified that they never seen Lil Fee in their mother's house. Bonner also testified that Daitria had bought the trunk 2.5 weeks before the shooting, so there was no way Lil Fee could have touched that trunk outside of the time of the murders. Prosecutors also presented evidence of 2 robberies that Lil Fee was involved in as a juvenile. One of the robberies occurred in May of 1981. Lil Fee and another teenager carjacked a woman named ROLLIN at gunpoint as she waited for her son after school. Lil Fee led police on a high-speed chase for half an hour until he crashed into a light pole. Police found a .32 caliber pistol in the car. The other robbery occurred a month earlier when Lil Fee and another person approached 3 junior high students. Lil Fee hit 2 of them with fists and a piece of a mop handle and demanded money from the group. The defense presented evidence of Lil Fee's upbringing as a reason for his actions. The defense stated that Lil Fee had been virtually abandoned at an early age.
None of this shit got nothing to do with decision making, bro. It's a lot of niggas out here with a sob story. I really want to say RP to the. I know it's a long time ago, but RP to these people. That shit fuck. This is a really fucked up situation. One, he was in the wrong house, and then like he killed the wrong motherfuckers. Still got paid and all type of other goofy shit. 2, like you got like I said in the beginning of this shit, you got an innocent dead family. And yeah, they playing with this nigga life, basically trying to save this, that, and the third. Far as that go.
Very little contact with his father, and his mother had a drinking problem and had gone to prison for a bank robbery. Some of Lil Fee's family members testified on his behalf. His younger sister, Edrina Myers, called him a great big brother and said that her and her siblings had a rough childhood. His younger brother, Demontre Cox, told the court that their mother was an abusive alcoholic and that Lil Fee ran away from home after she threw a vase at him. He went on to say that Lil Fee urged him to stay away from gangs and told him to stay on the right path. His grandmother, Audrey Martin, told the court that he was skilled at sports and that he was a good person. His great-grandmother, Annie Ellsworth, told the court that she was Lil Fee's primary caregiver. She put him in the Boy Scouts, gave him an allowance, a bike.
Now I think it's too late for this shit they trying to pull.
And also gave him money to buy a car. One of Lil Fee's junior high school teachers was a man named Donald Baker. Baker described Lil Fee as skilled in athletics and capable of getting good grades. The teacher went on to say that the pressure from the neighborhood gangs was a serious distraction to male students, especially those without strong role models. One of the junior high administrators was a man named Horace Anderson. Anderson also felt Lil Fee had been a good student until it appeared that he joined the gang. He began having behavioral problems, which led to his expulsion from the school. Ultimately, Lil Fee, Darren Williams, and Horace Burns were found guilty with the murders of Ebra Alexander, Daitria Alexander, Damon Bonner, and Damani Gardner. On September 19, 1985, Horace Burns was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. On July 23, 1987, Darren Williams was sentenced to death and sent to death row at San Quentin State Prison. On April 30th, 1986, Lil Fee was sentenced to death and sent to death row at San Quentin State Prison. While in San Quentin, Lil Fee became the subject of even more controversy. In 1988, there was a power struggle taking place among the Crips in San Quentin. On one side, there was Lil Fee, and on the other side, there was Stanley Williams, also known as Tookie, an early member of the Crips that sat on death row for committing 4 murders in February and March of 1979. At one time, Lil Fee and Tookie shared a close friendship, but that all changed due to ego and prison politics. Tookie reportedly wanted Lil Fee to stab Darren Williams because Tookie believed that Williams was an informant. Lil Fee refused. Lil Fee understood that defying orders from Tookie would likely get him attacked, so he went on the offensive. On October 10th, 1988, Lil Fee slashed Tookie with a shank across his neck while on the exercise yard that they both had been assigned to.
I don't even know if niggas be realizing this, but Crips and Crips do get into it, and Crips do be having issues, and they do be beefing. They actually are like rivals amongst each other heavily.
Correctional officers in the gun tower witnessed the attack and ordered everyone to the ground. Lil Fee was seen throwing a 4.5-inch blade near the yard's basketball court immediately after the attack. Tookie survived the attack with relatively minor injuries and told prison officials that he didn't know what happened and he couldn't remember anything. Shortly after the attack, news began to spread throughout the streets of Los Angeles that Tookie had been stabbed and killed while on death row and that Lil Fee was responsible, which created conflict between multiple gangs. Back in San Quentin, the Crips were forced to pick a side. Most gangs that were loyal to the neighborhood Crip Alliance sided with Lil Fee, while the other gangs such as Hoovers and Gangsta Crips mostly sided with Tookie. Shortly afterwards, the two groups were placed on separate exercising yards in order to prevent any further attacks. The two groups were also given grade B status, which is basically administrative segregation for death row inmates. In July of 2000, Lil Fee was on the Crip yard along with 2 other death row inmates named Noel Jackson and Paul Tuliapa, also known as Roscoe. Shortly after noon, the group unraveled a 4-foot section of a chain link fence along the yard. The group went through the fence and made their way towards the adjustment center. Shortly afterwards, a corrections officer noticed the unraveled fence and sounded the alarm. Another corrections officer spotted the group.
I'm fucking rolling. This nigga tried to get the fuck away. Hey, hey, these niggas is fucking hilarious, bro. Hold on. I really want to go back because I really want to touch on this real quick, real fucking fast. Do y'all see what the fuck? This nigga went from looking like this
Neighborhood Crip Alliance sided with Lil Fee
to looking like this. Like, what the fuck? See, niggas need to realize what happens when we go to jail. Time don't stop, nigga. It keep going. Look how old this nigga is versus when he went in there.
July of 2000, Lil Fee was on the Crip yard along with 2 other death row inmates named Noel. Officer noticed the unraveled fence and sounded the alarm. Another corrections officer spotted the group as they were on the walkway to the adjustment center. The prison was locked down and the group became trapped on the walkway. Other corrections officers arrived at the scene and ordered the group to stop while aiming non-lethal guns and tasers at them. The men surrendered and were handcuffed and taken back into the prison. When interviewed by prison investigators, Roscoe said the group never intended to escape. They just wanted to kill every guard that they were able to get their hands on. I want to thank you guys for tuning in. Please like.
This nigga's story is crazy. It's wild as fuck. I really want to say that first and foremost. Another thing is, I really want this to kind of be a lesson to whoever see this, or like niggas got to realize when you go into jail for dumbass shit like this, bro, this is a waste of your time completely. My man's completely wasted his whole life, and he ain't even probably get that much pussy while he was out. Really think about that, bro. He spent majority of his lifetime around niggas, and then he tried to escape at the age at fucking 60, 70 years old. Like, come on now, how far was you really gonna get, bro? On them legs and knees, bro. Let's get real, bro. You should try to do that shit when you was 30, 40 or something like that. Maybe you would have got somewhere. But when you 60, 50, your hair gray all like that and shit, you looking lifeless a little bit, a little less, a little lifeless, a little less, a little more, a little whatever you want to call it. That's when you really gotta chill and just sit your ass back. Leave that escape shit for the young niggas. But y'all let me know what the fuck y'all think, bro. I'm gonna leave this shit in the description. Y'all look at this shit if y'all want to. Holla at your boy.
Understand what worth is. They snakes is lurking, observing, trying to close your curtains.